Well, Corey, it's a special day here when we get to bring to our viewers at home some treasure. We're talking about actual treasure.
Absolutely.
Recovered from the bottom of the Atlantic. This is by far the most sought after treasure of our lifetime, the most sought after treasure of the Civil War era. By far, we're talking about the SS Republic shipwreck coins. Now, hundreds of years, almost 140 years, these coins, there was a total of 51,000 coins, both gold and silver coins, that sat 1,700 feet below the surface. And in 2003, these coins were discovered. You and I discussed earlier, Corey, we could talk for the entire 3-hour program on this. Unfortunately, we just don't have that time, but this is a phenomenal opportunity that will go quickly.
Right. It's a blast from the past. Back when I first started 20 years ago, we were a handful of folks selected to distribute some of the first coins to hit the market. Now, the shipwreck was recovered by Odyssey Marine in 2003. You know, they used the underwater robot, the submarine. It was a very long-winded process, and you know, it's still in the news today. I think anytime when there's a treasure hunt and somebody finds that treasure, somebody else always has claim to that, or so they think. And I think there is still an ongoing lawsuit with the recovery effort of who gets this and who gets that. Now, these are, number one, I want to point out, authentic U.S. Mint 1859 seated Liberty half dollars from the New Orleans Mint. And you'll see on the label Shipwreck Effect. Now, there are replica coins from the SS Republic,
right,
both on gold and silver. I want to point out, it's important to note, these are authentic, original, U.S. minted, 1859 New Orleans. Now, what that shipwreck effect refers to, when NGC does the authentication process and the conservation effort on shipwreck coins, they use that designation. The easiest way to understand is primarily on silver coins. Because silver will erode and it will tarnish and get patina, they use shipwreck effect on silver coins. Now, gold, depending on the surface of the coins and how it remains intact, which gold won't tarnish and it won't erode like the silver will, so they'll still use an MS or an AU designation, extra fine. They'll use the regular Sheldon scale on the gold coins, whereas all of the silver coins, they'll use that shipwrecked effect, and then sometimes they'll go even a little further and they'll use a specific designation after that, like good, very fine, almost uncirculated, and certain details to the attesting to the overall surface of the coin. Now, as you can see, the details are immaculate on these, for being as old as they are in general.
Yeah.
When you consider, Kevin, these were on the bottom of the ocean floor, 1,200 feet below the surface, and they sat there for 138 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable, the recovery effort that didn't happen until October of 2003. So here we are, 2024, all these years later, being able to bring them to the market. We've had teams looking for these coins, and we were able to put together just a phenomenal deal at only $449.95 per coin. You're going to be wanting to grab multiple on these. They're absolutely gorgeous. They are displayed in that deep blue core, just as if they were still in the bottom of the deep blue ocean.
Right.
It's also going to come with a tremendous storybook. So if we could take a look at this storybook, these are gorgeous. The SS Republic story will be found in here. You can read all about it in the book. They've done a great job telling the story, just a fraction of the story, and then the coin is actually inserted into here. So it is the display on it alone. Let me grab one of here.
Super
that's already
cool.
got one in there. You can kind of see there how the coin is in there after the story. It is just an amazing, amazing display alone. But the story itself, just like I said, this is the most sought after shipwreck coins of all time. This would go in any collection, but to actually have a piece of treasure discovered and recovered, because the last known destination was actually unknown when the ship went down in 1865. Now, to have these U.S. coins on there and to be able to recover them, and the recovery process on the coins to bring them back to their original luster, their original beauty, to be certified as having come from the bottom of the ocean floor. Like you said, it was 1,700 feet below the surface. You know, the Empire State Building, that's 1,200 feet.
Right.
So, you know, you give you a little idea there. This was, you know, long ago, where, you know, we just kind of wished each other well. This boat was headed from New York to Louisiana to New Orleans to drop this cargo along with other cargo off, and just did not make it. And it took nearly 140 years just to find the wreckage. So, and that was no easy task by far. You've got the 1859 O-seated Liberty. Now, New Orleans was the mint on all of these coins that we have here today, and it's a very interesting mint. If you don't know the story about that, that mint was actually operated by 3 separate entities, the only U.S. mint to be operated outside of the U.S. governance.
Right. You had, so these are struck in 1859. In 1861 was the U.S. mint. Then when Louisiana succeeded, it was under the control of the state of Louisiana, and then ultimately when they joined the Confederate States, it was that all happened in 1 year at the start of the war in 1861. Now, New Orleans on the seated Liberty half dollars, I believe the first year of issue is 1838. And again, these are original U.S. minted 1859. You look at these, the coins that we present to you here, you probably don't have a seated Liberty half dollar in your collection at all, let alone a storied coin like this that actually sat underneath the ocean floor for 138 years. Right. Authenticated, certified by NGC with the shipwrecked effect. It's got the very cool SS Republic label. And the ship itself has, I mean, I can't even remember all the information. It originally was the SS Tennessee, and that's a steamship, Tennessee. Right. And they were transporting, I think, a lot of immigrants to and from South America from Louisiana. And then it came under the control, I believe, well, it was in port in New Orleans when the Confederate States took over in Louisiana.
That's right.
And then they changed it to the Confederate state ship. So it was the CSS from the SS Tennessee. And then I believe at one point it changes to the SS Mobile. And then ultimately, probably most famously being Admiral Farragut's flagship, right, Kevin?
That's right. That's right. And we talked about, you know, before we had these coins in our hands here in the office, and Corey and I, we talked about some of the other things. Now, we have these beautiful coins here. Some of the other items that were taken from the shipwreck, from the bottom of the ocean floor. We talked about some of those. We talked about, was it the diner, the menu?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, some of the artifacts. I mean, obviously, this being one of the most famous shipwrecks of all time.
Everything
of course,
was
everybody knows the Titanic. Now, this sank about 50 years before the Titanic. Yeah. But, you know, artifacts from the Titanic, I think the dining room menu from the Titanic sold for over $100,000. Right. And that's just an original artifact from there. I think the captain's right-hand man's pocket watch, that sold for over $100,000. One of the original instruments from the orchestra there on the Titanic sold for over $1 million. Now that could be an old rare instrument in itself, and then with the storied pedigree from the Titanic. But I mean, this brings back, you know, your childhood.
Right.
To have true American treasure that was sitting on the ocean floor for 138 years, preserved, authenticated, certified by NGC from the shipwreck. This is an opportunity that we haven't had on this television show ever. No. We have had them in the preferred customer department over the years. These days, very seldom do they come in, a couple of times a year. You consider gold coins from the SS Republic have sold on auction for over $130,000. Right. So this is an opportunity at $449.95, limited quantities, folks. These will be a one-time only presentation. You're going to want to go online now or call, let your operator know you want to grab a couple of these. Get as many as you can comfortably afford, folks.